Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel and to the first video of the playlist Top Google Questions. In this playlist, I will be taking up the top 50 Leetcode questions on Google sorted based on their frequency. And today let's talk about the two sum problem. तो सबसे पहले देखते हैं प्रॉब्लम है क्या. Right. Before solving any problem, we follow a four-step methodology. We first understand the problem, look at what the input is, what the output is, and develop our approach. So the question says that given an array of integer nums and an integer target. So in the input, you are given an integer array and an integer target, and you need to return the indices of two numbers such that they add up to the target. मतलब कि एक array given है और एक target sum given है, and you need to find two numbers जिनका sum उस target के बराबर है, and you need to return the indexes of those. So positioning is important. And एक क्वेश्चन यहाँ पे ये भी आ सकता है कि what if कोई solution ही ना, what if there is no solution? So they have also clarified it that you may assume that there is exactly one solution and you cannot use the same element twice. So एक क्वेश्चन आता है कि why they have given this statement. So this is a very beautiful thing about Leetcode questions, that they clarify the question completely, but in the interview you may assume that the interviewer expects you to ask these questions. So if you see this question in an interview or interview में नहीं दिया है, so please remember to ask this thing. So let's take an example. जैसे you take nums array to be 2, 7, 11, 15 and target is 9. So the answer would be 0 and 1. 0 is the index of 2 and 1 is the index of 7, that is target, because 7 plus 2 is equal to 9, right? So let's go to draw.io. I have already taken an example and what the valid output is, and try to think that what do we want to do. So suppose आपकी array given है like 5, 2, 7, 12, 13 and your target is 25, right? So the output is going to be an array 3, 4, where 3 is index for 12 and 4 is index for 13, and 12 plus 13 is equal to 25. That is our target sum. So सबसे पहले तो how do I start with this thing? So first of all, if I look at this particular question in general, right? So one thing is for sure that I need to iterate through this array, because I need to find elements. So maybe I will definitely have a loop from left to right, and suppose I go through a particular element. Suppose I go through element 2. So I need to find one element in this array whose value should be equal to target minus ARRI. Right? Why target minus ARRI? Because you need two elements. Let's call them elements are index I and j, such that ARRI plus ARRJ becomes equal to target, right? And you are already iterating through ARRI through a for loop. So what you need? You need to find a ARRJ such that ARRJ is equal to target minus ARRI, right? So let's assume that we will go through this array. Suppose we start with 2. Why 2? Why not 0? Because you need two elements for this. So I need to find 25 minus 2 in the left portion, which is this, right? So 23 does not exist in the left portion. So I say that okay, so far no answer exists. Then maybe I will have I to be equal to 2 now, and I need to find 7 minus 25, which is equal to 18 in the left portion. So this doesn't exist between these two indexes. Now maybe I go to 12 as my element. Now I need to find 13 in the left portion. So 13 also doesn't exist in the left portion. Now suppose my I reaches 13. Now I need to find 25 minus 13, which is equal to 12 in the left portion, and it exists, right? So my answer would be 12, 3, 4 because 3 is the index for 12. So our problem boils down to searching a particular target minus ARRI given I am going through a for loop from 0 to n minus 1. So one thing is for certain that I will need to write a for loop from 0 to array.length minus 1, right? And for this particular for loop I need to search for an element which has a value to be equal to search for target minus ARRI between 0 to I minus 1, right? So this particular loop will have a complexity of O of n, right? And our searching algorithm will decide that what would be the remaining complexity. So one way to search for these elements would be that I may use a linear search. We know that linear search has a time complexity of O of n, right? So approach 1 could be use linear search, which has a time complexity of O of n. So total time complexity would be O of n square, right? So this is one way to solve this problem. But definitely, if you propose this particular algorithm, your interviewer is gonna ask you that, hey, can you do it better? Now we will start thinking again. So one thing is for certain that I need this for loop. I cannot do this problem without this for loop, and that's gonna take O of n for sure. But what if I try to optimize my search? So what are different ways to optimize search? So one way could have been binary search, but this particular sequence is not sorted at all. So that is out of the picture. Another way may be to use hashing, right? What if I use hashing? So if I use hashing, I know for certain that I can reduce the time complexity from O of n to O of 1 by using extra space, right? So can I do something similar? What if when I iterate through an element, I try to search for target minus ARRI. If it exists, I return the index of that particular element, right? So I am searching for target minus ARRI, and when I find target minus ARRI, I return index of target minus ARRI, right? So if I want to use hashing, which will reduce my time complexity to O of n for the total thing, and searching time complexity to O of 1, what can I use? Will I use a hash set or a hash map? Since I need a mapping between the element and return the index of that element, we should use a hash map to find that particular element, right? So my approach 2 would be use hash map for searching, right? So if I use hash map for searching, my time complexity would become O of n, and my space complexity would be O of n. So maybe we are using some extra space, but we can optimize on the time complexity. So let's see how it will look with using a hash map. So let's see, right? So say we start with this particular I equal to 0 itself, right? And my hash map has no particular entry so far. I try to search for target sum is equal to 25. So I try to search for element 25 minus ARRI, that is 5, which is equal to 20. 20 doesn't exist in the hash map, so I proceed ahead. I have my I to be equal to 1, and before proceeding ahead, I put this element 5 with the index in this hash map. So element 5 has index 0 in this hash map. Now I reach 2. Right, when I reach 2, I try to search for 25 minus 2, which is equal to 23 in this hash map. It does not exist. So I simply put 2 with index 1 in this hash map and increase the value of I. Now my I becomes equal to 7. So I tried to search for 25 minus 7, which is equal to 18 in this hash map. It doesn't exist. I put 7 in this hash map and increase the value of I. Now I tried to find 3. So I is equal to 12 here. So I tried to find 25 minus 12, which is equal to 13 in this hash map. It doesn't exist. I put 12 in this hash map with the index 3 and I make I equal to 13 now. Now since I is equal to ARR I is equal to 13, we try to find 25 minus 13, which is equal to 12 in this hash map. Since this exists in this hash map, I would say that hey, I have found my answer, and I will simply return a new array, because we need to return the answer in the form of an array with first index equal to this hash map. Let's call it hm.get this element, and the second index would be equal to I itself, and that would be my answer. So again, the time complexity is equal to O of n, because searching has a time complexity of O of 1 in this hash map, and we are iterating through this entire array. And since we are using extra space and it may have at most n elements, so the space complexity is O of n. So let's quickly jump to Leetcode and solve this one. So I would need to use a map. So I will declare a map. Let's call it hm, and let's create a hash map for this particular use case. And I need to iterate through this array. So integer I equal to 0, I less than nums dot length I plus plus. Now I want to search for what element? I want to search for target minus ARR I in this hash map, right? Oh, sorry, target minus num size in this hash map. So I will check if hm dot contains key element. If hm contains this element, I need to simply return an array of 2 elements, which would be hm dot get element comma I, which would be my final answer. Else I need to just put ARR I with its index in this hash map. And in the end, suppose we know that we will definitely find an answer. Sorry, it should be nums. So we know for sure that we will find an answer, but you need to return something from a function. So let's just simply return a dummy integer array. So this line will never hit as per the constraints of the problem. So let's simply run it. So our test cases seems to be passing. Let's click on submit. And yeah, so it's an accepted solution and a way to solve to some problem. I hope you were able to understand the problem, and if you like this video, please click on like, and if you have any comments on how can I improve it, please comment it there. And if you want me to teach you about basics of hashing, basics of searching, then please do let me know in the comment section. Thank you. Bye bye.